Хорошо, мы двигаемся дальше. И следующая презентация такой важной и, как мне кажется, до сих пор неоднозначной теме, как NDC. Всем ведь интересно об NDC услышать, правда? Я правильно интерпретирую? Ура! Замечательно. Тогда об NDC нам расскажет Анна Kofoed, директор по ритейл-региону Nexe. Я уже представлял ее. Анна тот человек, который находится в регионе и, мне кажется, имеет вот тот самый helicopter-view, то есть имеет возможность наблюдать то, как развивается сейчас индустриальный ландшафт в части внедрения NDC в том числе в Европе. Вот. Мне кажется, что европейский опыт освоения NDC он наиболее релевантный нашему украинскому рынку. Поэтому смотрим, слушаем и задаем вопросы. Когда у нас потом будет нетворкинг, я думаю, Анна с удовольствием на них ответит. Dear Anna, so I hand over to you. We are absolutely eager to learn about NDC perspectives. It is a very important topic for the market. It's been discussed a lot, and we know that you're having a helicopter view of how this initiative evolves. But we all remember that you are not coming to Ukraine for the first time.
No, it's true. It's several of you I met last year when I was here for the first time.
You visited us last year,
exactly.
During the New Year customer event. Would you like to tell a couple of words about your impression of Ukraine? What you feel?
Exactly. So I have to say the pity is I flew in last night, and last year I was here for less than 24 hours. So the pity is that I don't spend enough to really get to know your country. But yesterday I did go with Michael Bale, who's going to speak later, to a very nice traditional restaurant. Michael, what was the name? I forget. But it was really, really nice. And I experienced at least a bit of Ukrainian cuisine and of your culture, but I really need to spend some more time here because as I go around in transfers and taxis, I see your beautiful city of Kiev. So I hope that tonight maybe I'll have a little bit when we finish to walk around and get some fresh air.
You're always welcomed.
Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, so yes, it's a pleasure to be here and it's a pleasure to talk about content. Content is such a strange word. No, really what it boils down to is what are you offering to your travelers? Flights, hotels, car, rail, etc. I think the way I like to say it, and I think you probably agree, is that content is your license to operate. It is the basics. No, you have to have content to be able to do your business. And content is becoming more challenging. And I would like to take a step back and say, what is it really that we as an industry need to provide in terms of content? What is it that the travelers expect of our industry? And we have a way to go, as I will talk about in this presentation. And when I talk about content, I always like to talk about somebody outside of our industry. And my favorite example is Netflix. Netflix is what I call the kings of content. There may be other companies that are good in this space, but I really think we can learn a lot from Netflix. Why? Well, the reasons why I like them, there is one I'm going to start on, which is more of a personal reason. I'm Danish, and if you know Denmark, I've ever been, it looks a bit like this in Copenhagen. There are bicycles absolutely everywhere. But that's actually not linked to Netflix. The reason why I like Netflix is because I'm based in Madrid, which is AMADEUS headquarters, and my children are 12 and 14, and their mother tongue is not their mother's. It is not Danish, it is Spanish. So how do I make sure that they speak Danish? I obviously speak to them, but actually Netflix helps me because they create content in Danish. So not only do they get the language, but they also get a bit of the culture. They watch shows about children who are at schools and so forth, no? So they get really into the Danish feeling. But there is another reason why I truly love Netflix, and it is more business related. And it is their track record. Look at what they've done. They have gone from 2012, where they were hardly selling to anybody outside of the US where they were founded, to being bigger outside in the international markets than they are today. They have 150 million paying subscribers. That is huge. How many of you use Netflix? Yeah, quite a few. I still have to see an audience when I ask this question where they say I've never, never used Netflix, nobody uses Netflix. So they have been extremely successful globally, no? And why have they been so successful? They started out, I don't know if you know, but they actually started out as a distributor of DVDs. They were not a streaming business. This was back in the 90s, I think 98. But they didn't see themselves as a distributor of DVDs. They saw themselves as giving users and people and consumers a possibility to watch films. So when the internet came in, what they said is, in 2007, let's go online, let's stream the whole thing. What do you think the investors did? Did they go, brilliant, share price goes up, we believe in you? Or did they go, oh my God, are these people crazy? What do you think? Who votes for their share price went up? Who votes for their share price went down? Exactly. So what happened when you look at them today was they were cannibalizing their own core business. So the investors were like, they're crazy. But today, who will look at Netflix and say they were crazy? Nobody. Everybody is going to say, oh my God, have they been smart? And so they were really good at putting content out there to create relevant content on their platform. But they didn't stop there. They also did something that Sasha also talked about, and I'll talk more about, which is personalization. So whoever you are in the room, put up your hand that you have Netflix. You also, your screens are not the same as mine, right? And between, we all have a personalized screen depending on what we watch and what they recommend to us. That is extremely powerful and one of the reasons why they've been so successful. And then there's the third, and it goes back to my Danish experience, no? They create content. They create unique content. And have a think about that for the travel industry. What are they doing? They're creating content that nobody has, and then they're personalizing tours. How interesting is that if you bring that concept into the travel industry? So not only have Netflix been about content, the reason I like to talk about content is because Amadeus is also about content. We have been about travel content since we were founded in 1987. And in the beginning, it looked like this. Some of you probably remember, I'm glad you're laughing. Some airlines actually think we still look like that today, but we don't know, because this is what we look like today. It is Selling Platform Connect. And it is a more graphical user interface, still with the possibility of going into cryptic when agents want to do that. But there's one thing I would like to highlight on the slide, which is a small icon here in purple, which says NDC. I'll talk a bit about it a bit later, but Amadeus already today has created the technical capability to have NDC content compared to the GDS content as you know it, and to low-cost carrier content. But we don't stop here. We continue innovating. In our innovation labs, we're already looking at what will an agent see in the future. And here you have one of our innovative ideas that is actually a prototype where it's a check-in agent at the airport who's wearing glasses, seeing the traveler, but not only being able to book a trip, but actually seeing information such as it's seeing that the traveler is in a good mood, amicable. It is also showing that the traveler is a vegetarian. So really what you're seeing is a lot more information than what Selling Platform Connect does today. So we are going to move into a world where these kind of things can be possible in the future. But what do we always need to keep in mind? We need to keep in mind the traveler. What does the traveler want? When we develop technology, we have to keep this in mind. And the traveler is what we call a prosumer, digital prosumer. What do we mean? We mean the traveler is not only consuming content from us, but is actually also creating content. And Sasha mentioned it, they're also a market of one. And I think we don't just look at the millennials to say that, we also like it, right? Go back to the Netflix idea. We like that we're treated as one. We don't want to be seeing the same offers as everybody else. And if we look specifically at what this means for the traveler, they're looking for relevant choice. In Amadeus, we have 50 billion travel combinations. Who cares? Does the traveler care? No. But they do care about getting 5 maybe, or 3 different choices. So we need to have the 50 billion options, but what we present to the customer has to depend on who they are. And that is what we need to get to as an industry. And we need to offer transparency. What we're seeing at the moment is that it's not always easy. I don't know about you, but I think your travel agents probably often come and say, oh, I'm not sure, travelers come in, they say they can find better fares somewhere else. They're seeing, they can't figure out, is there a seat included? Is it not included? Is my bag included? It's become not very transparent. We need it, the traveler wants it to be transparent and simple, as we heard from Sasha. So the fragmentation that we're seeing right now in the travel industry is going in the opposite direction of where we need to go as an industry. It doesn't make sense for the traveler that it's becoming so intransparent. So what at Amadeus do we think needs to happen in the area of content? We think there are 3 things we have to do as an industry. We think we need to ensure that content is connected. Have a think about a lot of the social media, a lot of what is going on. For example, I still don't understand exactly what happens, but every day when I'm in Madrid, it will say on my phone, if you want to be home at 7, you need to leave right now the office because there is traffic. So there is there's an end-to-end experience, which is what we're getting used to in other parts of different businesses. But that is not the experience we get today in the travel industry. And 49% of people say that they have no patience for experiences that are not connected. We need to connect up the experiences for the travelers. Also, people say, I want an Amazon-like buying experience. That is what I'm looking for. What do we find in the travel industry? We find content silos. What do I mean by that? Have a think about it. Why is it that when I land in an airport and I'm delayed on my flight and I have a train that I need to catch, why do I need to buy a new ticket? Because there is no connection between what's happening in rail and what's happening in the airline. And why is it that when I land early in a place and I want to check in at my hotel, they tell me, oh, but I'm sorry, you can't check in until 4 o'clock this afternoon. So we have all these disconnected experiences in the travel industry, and as an industry, we need to move on to make that much more connected and seamless. And we believe that that starts with making travel and thinking of travel as a platform. And at Amadeus, what we have created is what we call the Amadeus Travel Platform. We have all the different types of content. I'm going to talk about some of them today. We have air, we have hotel, accommodation, we have rail, transfer, etc. Really the idea of having all the content on one platform. And what we then do is we give you that content into all of your different interfaces. Be it when you're on Selling Platform Connect, be it if you use our web services to have websites, be it through self-booking tools such as Citric, which is Amadeus' own, but also others for that matter. And what it gives to you is the fact that no matter where your traveler is and where they access you, the content they get is the same. So you don't have to worry about an offer being different online versus what you have offline, because it's all coming from the same platform. But more importantly, you don't have to worry about the technology source. So we have different technology sources. Edifact, which is, to be honest, the word for what you know today as the GDS. That's what it's built on. That's how we communicate with the airlines. And then there is NDC. And that is a big word in the industry at the moment, right? A lot of people, a lot of airlines are talking about NDC. Amadeus has made the connection into this platform for NDC carriers. And additionally, we make connections from other types of APIs, which can also bring in low-cost carrier content into our platform. Because our idea is that you don't have to worry about where content comes from. especially when we also, now I'm speaking air when it talks about NDC. But actually this is a notion that was created by our hotel business line that has been sourcing from a lot of different sources for the last many years. And now this has become very relevant for the airline industry. That we ensure, and what it does to you is that it ensures that you don't have to worry about the fact that the airlines are going to be improving their capability to expose an NDC. Because they are going to change their APIs every 6 months to a year because NDC is still not mature. We need to mature it much more. That is going to cost the industry a lot of resources and investment. And we are committed to making that investment on behalf of the industry. How are we doing this? We are doing this by completely restructuring our technology. Getting into NDC for Amadeus is like rewriting the GDS. It is a huge effort and a huge investment, but we believe it is the right thing to do to ensure that you can focus on the traveler rather than on your back-end technology. And we make it possible because Amadeus is the only player in travel tech, and really our traditional competitors, who is on open systems. It means we are much more agile, we can be much faster to market, and we can go to the cloud. So the first thing I talked about was how we have to make content more connected. And our input into that is our platform. But we've also talked about how we have to make it individually relevant to each person. And what we find is that 83% expect companies to understand their needs and expectations. Again, back to our Netflix example. We want to see different things. We want to see what's relevant to us. And still, what do we get in the travel industry? We get what you may want to call average. One of my examples is a personal one, and when I travel, I use often different providers, but one of them particularly. And when I come back from my trip, like I came back from Norway this summer, I keep getting refreshers saying, why don't you go to Norway? And I'm thinking, I never go back to a place where I've already been, unless it's Denmark, where I'm from, where I go visit my family, but I don't really need any travel companies to help me do that. So why is it that I keep getting the same place? And I was on a panel with one of the executives of this company that I buy from, and they said, that is because we have found from our research that most people like to go back to the places they've been to. And I was thinking, what is that? That's average. They're treating me as average. They're not treating me the way Netflix treats me, no? And also, what we find are a lot of drop-downs, no? We find that you go into a website and then you have to tick, tick, tick every time, new things. There is nothing that's really adjusted to me as a person. So the feeling we get as travelers is there is no signal. We are not being communicated to in the travel industry as an individual. Apart from maybe some of you that do that because you can give personalized offer to your customers. So the offline agencies actually have a competitive advantage in this space, in my opinion. Because online, we're still far away from that reality. And what we're doing at Amadeus is we are investing in artificial intelligence. Because we're going to have to use and learn what specific travelers want. And then be able to recommend what is it that this traveler is going to want. This is how Netflix operates, no? They have a learning, their platform is learning the whole time what different people are looking at, and therefore if you are a bit like these people, I'm going to recommend the same as they've already watched. So there is a learning and an artificial intelligence happening on these platforms, and that is what Amadeus is investing in to get into our platform. And concretely, we already have the idea of cross-sell. So in Selling Platform Connect, when you're an offline agent, you can actually, when you booked a flight, the agent can say, okay, what would be recommended in terms of a car, or it could be a hotel. So this is where we want to go, to really try to create much more of a possibility for the agent, to help the agent personalize the next step and the offer that you're going to get, or you're going to give. So we want the content to be connected. We want the content to be individualized and personalized to the traveler. And go back to Netflix and their Danish content or their House of Cards, which they created the first time in 2012. how about we become better at creating content in the travel industry? So Airbnb is one of the first companies that started creating content in accommodation. And now they're actually moving into experiences and to destination services. And this is where, from what we can see and from research we've done, destination services and experiences is where the travelers are willing to spend money. This is one of the new areas of content that we as an industry need to be much better at exposing and giving to travelers, because they're willing to spend. This is a big part of what they want to do. Be it an authentic experience they may be looking for. Many people really want authentic experiences now. It could be cultural. It could also be that it's a personal challenge. Don't know if anybody feels like doing this, but actually there are people out there who do that. And what we found from an Amadeus study was that 93% consider destination services an important part of their experience. There is money here, for sure. And I know that some of you are already selling these type of services of reservations of restaurants, etc., to your customers. But it's not only about destination services when we talk about creating new types of content. It could be anywhere. And actually, when you think about NDC, what is it that the airlines are trying to achieve? I'm sure that when we go to the panel later on today, we're going to talk much more about that, because there are a number of reasons. But one of them is because they want to create new content. They want to bundle the idea of having your flight with maybe a meal or maybe with the visa, etc. They're going to start bundling different types of content in with their flights. That's why they want NDC, one of the reasons why they want NDC. And Amadeus has decided to embrace this idea from the airlines, because we know you need their content. Right now, what we're seeing from the airlines is not content that couldn't have been in the GDS. It could have. So right now, as an industry, we're not seeing a lot of value yet, but it can come. What I like to say is, have a think about the internet. Back in 1995, we had no clue where that was going to take us. Back in 1995, if you look at what the internet was supposed to be, it was more like a place where you would go and put your brochure, you would communicate what you stand for, it could be documents. And we would never have imagined a Netflix back in 1995. So that is a bit where NDC is today. It is an unknown, but it is a possibility to take us into a world which can create more personalization. So we have committed as Amadeus to NDC, and we started out in 2017. And already by 2018, we were ready with Travix, which is an online agency. We have them doing thousands of bookings every month already on Amadeus, what we call NDCX. And NDCX is what you saw on our platform. It is what enables NDC to be exposed in the Amadeus travel platform. And therefore, today, we like to say that we're open for business for the airlines. Any airline can come to Amadeus with their API, their NDC API, and say, please connect me, and they will appear on our platform. So what we've then done is, first it was web services for online travel agencies. Now we've also used our API and web services from Amex, and they're connected to American Airlines. And we have also made our first bookings on selling platform Connect with Flight Center, which is where we've done it in the offline space. So from a technology perspective, Amadeus is ready with NDC. Now what we need is to agree with the airlines who come next and just start adding them to our platform so that you don't need to make the investments when it comes to NDC. And now you may be thinking, so what does this all look like? And I showed you a screenshot, but I'd actually like to show you the demo of what it looks like for one of your travel agents offline when we start seeing NDC content on our platform.
Here's what you can expect. In Selling Platform Connect, you'll have access to NDC content via the new, redesigned All Fares graphical interface. On the Air search page, you'll be able to search for flights in a similar way as you do today. And, thanks to the tags and autocomplete functionality, you can refine your search by specifying which airlines, cabin type, or route options you want to include in your search. Plus, you can also select the fare types that you'd like to include in the results, whether public or negotiated. In the results page, you'll see the NDC content alongside Edifact and other content merged in one single display so you can easily compare them. Results will be sorted by price. You'll be able to filter them by various criteria. For NDC content, you'll see how long each offer is valid for, according to the time limit established by the corresponding airline. For all recommendations, you'll also be able to see the type of fare, public or corporate. You'll also have more details for each offer, such as the class, cabin, included services, and the fare family name. There's also an option to see which upgrades are available for the selected fare family with information on the price difference as well as the services included in each of the proposed upgrades. To see more details on any of the proposed upgrades, all you have to do is click on the recommended upgrade. You will then be able to see exactly what services are included as well as the fare breakdown. If you decide not to upgrade, you can select the initial offer. To see the fare breakdown of your selected offer, you can click on Fare Details. Once you've selected your preferred offer, you'll be taken to the booking summary where the selected offer will be displayed. From this point forward, you'll see how much time you have left before the booking expires. You'll now need to enter the traveler's information and contact details either manually or automatically from a customer profile.
So that is how NDC shows up in our Selling Platform Connect already today. And what we commit to as Amadeus is a travel platform where the content is connected, where we are really giving you all the relevant content on one platform, and with content that you can make individually relevant to your traveler, and also a platform where all new types of content that comes into the travel industry, we will incorporate into this platform. What it's going to require is that the industry collaborates. We need to collaborate across agencies, the platforms, Amadeus, and also with the airlines. And that is part of what I'm sure we will discuss on the panel of ensuring that we help each other, because there has to be value for the agencies, for Amadeus, and for the platforms, and for the airlines. But I'm sure that if we work together as an industry, we will achieve what the traveler expects of us. Thank you very much.